Hello, this is Derek here and I'm in the workshop. I'm working on a sthil chop saw. Let me say straight off that I'm not really accustomed to working on these small engines, but I'm doing this for a friend of mine. Well, not a friend of mine, he did a job on my kitchen. He built me a new kitchen and I repaired his chop saw for him, and he's got this other one, and he bought this as a backup and it doesn't work. It did work and then it just stopped working. Bit of a strange one. Anybody who's seen my videos, I tend to do things that only put things on the net that's a little bit different to the normal run-of-the-mill kind of faults. This one, it definitely been working because I've seen it run, but apparently it only run for an hour or so. Packed in, it wouldn't start, and I brought it in. I checked the compression and the compression was way down. It was only showing about 75 psi. So of course I took the barrel off and took the rings off, and the piston looks perfect and the barrel looks perfect as well. But what I did find was when I took the rings off and I put them in the barrel and I gapped them, that's measuring that gap in the barrel, I had a 20 thou gap there, which is too big. And I thought, alright, that's it. Strange, because the barrel looks new, the piston looks new, but the rings look worn, which is really unusual. I can't really have an explanation for that. So I bought a new set of rings. I put a new set of rings on, put the barrel back on, and it's no different. It's still only pulling 80 psi. It's not, you can't get a pop or anything out of it. Sparking okay. I've checked all the carburetor. So what I did a leak down test, and I did it using a bike pump, little pump like this, little bicycle pump. I blanked off the exhaust, blanked off the carburetor inside of here, coupled this up to the pulse tube, pumped it up, and had a massive air leak here, and they were coming up to the stud holes as well. There was a massive air leak around this side here, all around this side. Strangely enough, when the first time I stripped it down was, these three bolts here were absolutely dog tight, and that one was loose. In fact, it was that loose I thought it was broke, but it wasn't. It wasn't even tightened up at all. It was really loose. Now, I didn't pay a lot of attention to that at first. I just thought somebody had left it loose, which is really unusual, because if I put a barrel on or anything like that, I go around and tighten them all up, nip them all up, tighten them all up, and then go around them 3 or 4 times. And I think most mechanics, engineers do that. And to leave one completely loose is a little bit strange, but I didn't put a lot of attach a lot of importance to it. I put the new barrel and piston on, still wouldn't run, but found out it had this massive air leak here. Now I've took it off again. I'm pretty sure there's nothing wrong with these rings or the piston or the barrel, but what I have found is that this joint here on the two crankcases with the joint, can you hear that? There's a step where that crankcase meets this crankcase. There's a step there. I can actually measure it. That's 3 thou. There's a 3 thou gap on that step there. On this other side it's not quite so bad, but that had got a 3 thou step there. Well, there's no way on this earth that putting the barrel, when the barrel's on there, the gasket is never ever going to seal up, because these gaskets it's rock hard. There's no give in this gasket at all. There's no way that's going to take 3 thou out. So I've ordered a new gasket, and I'm going to try and put a bead of instant gasket around here and let it go off and see if I can take that out. So unless I can do that, there's no way this engine's ever going to run again, because you got to seal this bottom end up. Now, going back to this bolt hole here, which was loose, this bolt was loose in this side. I think what's happened is somebody has rebuilt this engine. They put a new, this piston looks new. It's got a new piston. It looks like a new barrel as well. The barrel is this barrel inside. It's not even dirty. It's clean as a whistle. It looks new. There's no marks on it. There's no scours on it. So I think what's happened is somebody has put a new piston and barrel in. For some reason the rings are way undersized. I haven't got an explanation for that. They've not been able to start it. Then they've identified that there's an air leak here. They've actually must have identified it. And what they've tried to do is slacken that bolt off and tighten these bolts down to pull the barrel over that side slightly to try and take that out. It's never going to work, because these bolts will go straight through into the crankcase. So if that bolt hole's not tight, the compression, the bottom end compression, is going to come up through that thread hole there and out through the top. So it can't work. So some of these, I don't know if these are odd crankcases. They certainly don't look a pair, because if you look there, that it doesn't match. There's a step there as well, which is not significant, but if these were a pair, you'd think that curve there would blend into that curve. Whether these are an odd pair of crankcases, somebody's damaged one, or it don't appear to be, but it's really strange, because when these were made, I would assume they get a pair of crankcases, they put them together, bolt them up without the crankshaft in, and then this is machined flat and then line bored to take the crankshaft. That's how you get a pair, because you can't make a left and right and put them together. It wouldn't work. You've got to make them, put them together, line bore it, and then surface grind all this flat. The way to do this, to repair this properly, would be strip the whole thing down, take the crank out, assemble it back up, take it to a machine shop, put it in a milling machine, and mill all this flat. But the cost, I mean, they'd want more than what the engine was worth to do that. So I'm going to have to try and put some sealant in to get that step out there. It's actually picking my screwdriver up. There's no way on earth that's going to run like that. So at the moment we've got a scrap engine, so I'm going to try and fix it for him. It's only a backup machine anyway, but it's an interesting one, this. I've had a few things in my time, but that is an interesting one. Anyway, I'll seal it up. I was going to make I don't want to make a gasket and a half a gasket. I want to make half a gasket and put half a gasket on, a very thin gasket, just about say 2 or 3 thou thick, and just put it on that side, put some sealant on, stick it all down, and then do another pressure test. I know it's a bodge, but what do? Throw it away? I mean, he's paid a few £100 for this, and it's going to end up in the skip. Okay, when I get it all back together, I'll have a look, see what happens. If it runs, I'll make another video. See you again. Bye. Right, put the barrel on now, and you can just see the Highland bar is squeezing out the sides. It's still wet, so it's still plastic. So I'm going to leave that now, it's not tight. I'll just put the barrel on, just nip these bolts down until they're touching, and that starts to squeeze out. So I don't want to squeeze it tiny down so it all squeezes out and I lose it. I want to leave a very thin skim on there, so it's like a very thin O-ring. Hopefully that'll take any of these imperfections out. And it's squeezing out all the way around. You can see a little bit up there, and there's a little bit, I think, squeezing on this side as well. So it's squeezing out all the way around, so there's a good chance I've got it all the way around. Yeah, you can see it down there as well, just under the boot for the intake. So I've got a skim of Alimer all the way around. Like I say, it's just nipped down, so I'm going to leave that now. It's quite cold in the shed today, so it'll take a while for it to go off, so I'm going to leave it for today. Tomorrow I'll tighten all these down really tight and then give it another pressure test. If this doesn't work, then I think it might be going in the skip. Alright. Right, it's all tightened down, all the bolts are tightened down. I'm just going to test it now by spraying some soapy water in the crank seals and pumping it up with the back pump. I can feel this pressure in there, but no, there's a there's nothing there now. There's a little tiny leak round the decompressor. Well, it's not leaking now, but that's pressured up now. Now before there was all air coming out the bottom here, so that now I'm pretty convinced is sealed up, so it should be okay. There's a little air leak coming out of there. It's coming. I'm pretty convinced that's okay now. Just found another problem here. There's seems to be air leaking from the bottom of this, underneath this noise cylinder, and it's all one piece, but look how flaming tight this decompression valve is. Blood and sound. Jeepers. Hey. Oh. Something's not right there. This engine's beginning to make a fool of me. I've now found something else. This is the filter from inside the tank. I've connected it up to a pipe and I'm blowing down it. I can't blow through it. Not a thing. Like, I can't suck through it either. It doesn't look blocked, but it appears to be blocked. It's doing my head in this. So that's the machine finished. It's a little 4-stroke a little bit, but I want to put a blade on, try it under load, see what it's like. It's 4-stroke a bit on full rev, so I might have to just open it up a little bit. But it's working fine now. I'm not the best person in the world to pull one of these. I'm getting a bit old for tugging at one of these things, but it runs, it starts fine now. I'm quite convinced that it's okay. So at the end of the day, what was it? I think what we had here was not one problem. I think we had a few problems. It wasn't just the one problem. I think first of all we had the piston ring problem, which definitely wasn't helping it. So we had new rings in, and then we had the base gasket that was leaking, creating an air leak. That would make it run weak and lose compression to the top. And then we had this problem, which was the decompression valve, which was leaking, losing compression. We had a blocked fuel filter as well, which was really unusual. And I think all these things combined were just contributing to it not running, and it seems to be okay now. So that seems to be one fixed. Okay, bye.